Let's go. Listen, got a couple videos lined up for us. A couple things I want to talk about and discuss today. And the first thing we're going to do, he said, damn, what did DKM do? Listen, I need people to understand, look, it might be, the titling and the phrasing might be a little harsh. DKM is the homie. That's my guy. DKM is all love. It's nothing really crazy. All right? I just hate this conversation. And I hate the stigma being pushed around this. I hate the narrative being pushed around this. And a lot of it started with your video and what you said. A lot of people that I heard carried this conversation, carried it on, starting with you in this video. Now, I haven't watched this video. I'm glad you got your channel back. I'm glad the channel ended up working out. You got everything situated because you got your channel stolen. That was whack as fuck. That was lame as fuck. That shit was crazy. But yeah, putting niggas in the title, what you do for real? I ain't gonna lie to you, it really is. Hey, come on, man, we know what the game is. But it's a serious conversation. From what I've heard, I don't agree with your stance at all, and I think it's insane. I think it's an insane take, but we're gonna get into it. You got 28 minutes. Yeah, niggas stealing channels, crazy. I know, niggas were stealing channels. Shit is insane.
If you know anything about the 2024 NBA...
Here we go. Let's listen to what he's talking about for with the G League Ignite. Now, again, I'm coming into this with the information of a lot of people are putting slack and slander on the G League Ignite and the G League system for developing players. I don't know what necessarily you said about these guys. I don't know who you compared it to, but we're about to find out.
NBA draft, you've heard of these guys, Ron Holland and Matas Buzelis. One of them is probably going to be the #1 pick. Tell me, which one are you choosing? Ron Holland is a crazy athlete. He's big, strong, fast, can score, defend, and he's actually skilled. But what about Lithuanian unicorn Matas Buzelis? Buzelis can shoot, dribble, pass, dunk, he can do it all, but never has a G League Ignite.
Okay, real quick before we get into that, who are y'all taking? Do y'all know about Matas? Do y'all know about what you call it? Do y'all know about Ron Holland? Please, let me know, do y'all know about him, who y'all taking? Because me personally, leading up to this point, like last year, if you would have asked me in the summer, I would have told you hands down taking Matas #1. As time gets closer, as time passes, I'm starting to see it with Ron Holland. I definitely am. I'm definitely starting to see it with Ron Holland. But between them two, I would still take Matas. Neither one of them is going #1, honestly. Sar is going #1, as should. That nigga's amazing. Alex is fucking phenomenal. I think Alex should and will go #1. But it all depends how the ping pong balls fall and who goes where. That's another thing people don't take into consideration. Who has the #1 pick? Depending on what team has the #1 pick, I don't know if Sar will go #1. So we're going to see.
Player ever been the #1 pick in the draft? Is that going to change this year? Maybe. Does that mean they're going to be successful NBA players? History says no. When I tell you 12 Ignite players have made the NBA and 2 have been top 3 picks, you'd assume the G League Ignite has been a major success.
Great success.
You are wrong. The G League Ignite is failing, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Let's find out why.
First of all, how did we get here? The NCAA was exploiting student athletes for a century. These top draft picks coming out of high school couldn't go to the NBA till they were 19. And were forced to go play in college for free, risk getting injured, missing out on life-changing wealth, while the NCAA took 100% of the profits from everything. Sadly, there was no logical alternative until in 2017 a madman named LeVar Ball said this ain't right and decided to do something about it.
Shout out LeVar Ball with the JBA, which really is why we're here for real. I'm never going to let people forget the fact that the developmental system now and players getting into the league now would not be where it is now if it wasn't for LeVar Ball doing just this.
He created his own JBA league, an alternate path that gave high school players an opportunity to make money and hoop before declaring for the draft. I know the JBA league only lasted 1 season, but the blueprint was there, and in 2018, the NBA with all the resources saw what happened, took the idea, ran with it, and did it on a bigger scale. That's how we have G League Ignite. And in 2023, more and more prospects aren't going to college. they're going to the G League. Why? Because it's an easy sell. Let's compare the two options. You're a 5-star high school player. You can go to the G League and get paid up to $500k a year in salary, or you can go to college and play for nothing. Financially, everyone's picking the G League. But what about the one thing more important than money? The basketball. In the G League, you face tougher competition. Everyone's a professional. You have a mix of NBA vets, two-way rookies, undrafted gems, and pros from overseas. In college, only 1.2% of NCAA D1 players ever make the NBA. The rest can be found all across America working 9 to 5s. If your goal is to play in the NBA, are you going to spend a year studying, knowing you'll not be in school long enough to ever graduate? Or are you going to take the bag and turn professional as quickly as possible?
Sounds like an easy
Objectively
choice.
speaking, in
Sounds like a very easy
2023,
choice.
the G League Ignite is the best path for top draft prospects coming out of high school. Other than nostalgia, tradition, and being skeptical of what's new, why would anyone choose college over the G League? Maybe that skepticism is well warranted.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Let's look at every player that chose the G League Ignite over college. The ones that got drafted, and the ones that didn't. No, we're not talking about your Norris Coles and Jared Jacks. I'm talking about the youngsters. Starting with their first and biggest signing to date. Jaylen Green was one of the most hyped high school prospects in the social media era. He was ESPN's #1 prospect in the 2020 recruiting class. He had offers from all these D1 schools.
I'm just trying to figure.
But instead of going to college, he became the first ever
really gotta
player to
watch
sign
the
with G League
questions.
Ignite. His salary was worth $600,000. Jaylen Green averaged 17.9 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 2.8 assists per game in the G League. But was he the #1 pick? No. The Pistons drafted the guy that went to college instead. Despite not going #1, the G League didn't negatively impact his draft stock because he was still picked top 2. Jaylen Green finished 4th in Rookie of the Year voting, he made the All-Rookie first team, and has been a consistent scorer every year in the NBA. Now, averaging 22 points per game as a sophomore in the NBA is good and a lot better than anyone else from Ignite, but a lot of people are saying it's giving Andrew Wiggins vibes. People are starting to call Jaylen Green a bust and saying that the numbers are a little misleading. Jaylen Green can get buckets and that's about it. He's a bad defender, below average facilitator, and very inconsistent scorer. In other words, an inefficient shot chucker.
Now, what would have changed had he went to Kentucky and had these same problems? What would have changed if he went to the University of Miami and then for a year and then had these same problems? I'm really trying to wonder if that question gets answered, because that's the question the question I would ask. If we're going to criticize G League Ignite, what is college doing so much better?
Does he still have all-star potential? Absolutely. But right now, Jaylen Green isn't close to that. He has a solid...
Somebody said, Reefy saying he might not have had the problems. That's not true. Trae Young went to college and he came in with the same issue. The issues of inconsistency and efficiency was the thing with Trae Young early on. It took him a second to catch on. He didn't catch fire until the second half of his rookie year. Meanwhile, Luka, who came from overseas, was ready for the pro game. And even though he wasn't super efficient, people were way more confident what Luka had going on. He was immediately better. And that was fine. Now, I understand we're talking about the Ignite system, but you can say some stuff about Jaylen Green and probably players that was picked right behind him to pick after. Who was picked right after Jaylen Green? Hold on. If we look at that draft, if we look at the Jaylen Green draft, hold on. Was it Mobley? I see somebody said Mobley. 21K draft, Evan Mobley. I mean, Evan Mobley is he's not the guy that people thought he would be because of his development offensively. The things that he was good with, I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, was defense. And his defense improved and fine. He's a defensive player. He's a guy that's deemed defensive. He can produce on the offensive end, but nothing to the degree that people thought. People were comparing him to freaking Kevin Garnett. He's not going to be that offensively. That's a problem he had, and that's a problem he continues to have. But he's not a bust. Plus, he's playing on a better team immediately than Jaylen Green was, in my opinion. Somebody said Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes plateaued his rookie and sophomore year and didn't pop off until his third year. There was questions about Scotty Barnes. He said, damn, Scotty top 2. Scotty went 4. Jaylen Suggs has not redeemed himself until this year. This is his 3rd year. A lot of these players, Jonathan Kaminga, people are dying and raving for him. We're probably going to get into him. I wonder if he's going to talk about him. But he's a guy that just now in year 3 is people are saying should be given an opportunity. People are criticizing Josh Giddey, who came from overseas. But let's talk about these guys that went to college. I mean, Franz Wagner's a dog. Can't lie to you. I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. Franz is a dog. He went to Michigan. Cool. Davion Mitchell. Are you about to tell me Davion Mitchell is the player he is today because he went to college or because he's Davion Mitchell? Why is no one talking about Zaire Williams not being who he was supposed to be or who the Grizzlies wanted him to be out of Stanford? James Bouknight is a bust. We're not talking about him. Josh Primo is a deviant. He went to college. We're not talking about that, though. But we want to criticize the Ignite. That's crazy. We're not criticizing college in that instance, but we're going to criticize the Ignite in a very small sample size. It's nasty work.
Solid supporting cast, great head coach. He was expected to take a leap this season, and he hasn't. He's pretty much the same Jaylen Green from his rookie year. He isn't getting any better, and that's something to be worried about. That being said, Jaylen Green has done way better than the other top 3 pick to come out of G League Ignite. Remember how Hornets fans reacted to passing a certain someday up at number 2?
The Charlotte Hornets select Brandon Miller.
That's what they said. DKM said this. This is one of those decisions that even those idiots at the Spectrum Center last night will look back on like, wow, we almost passed on this guy for that guy. Lucky we didn't do that. Brandon Miller is doing his thing, only Wemby is ahead of him in Rookie of the Year voting. When you check out the rest of that list, you don't see Scoot Henderson. And that's because Scoot Henderson has had a historically bad start to his NBA career. As a starter, Scoot Henderson averaged these atrocious stats.
DKM is
he shot
the guy with
8% from the three-point line.
tape.
That means if you take 100 three-pointers, you're making less than 10. In his first few games he got injured, was sent back to the G League and lost his starting spot on the Blazers. They drafted this guy out of the G League to replace Damian Lillard, and he ended up back in the G League. Now since returning from injury, Scoot has been slightly better than he was.
I genuinely don't like that. Niggas is going to run with that too. He went back to the G League for health reasons, to get conditioning. Everyone does it. I mean, we all know that. It was nasty to even put it out at the time, which it was just 2 weeks ago when this came out. At the time, it was nasty to do that. But I just, and I'm a Scoot Henderson hater. I need that to be known. I was a guy that was deemed a Scoot Henderson hater. I'm not going to lie to you. In terms of how he started the season, to be, oh my God, 36% from the field is crazy. He's not a shooter. It's fine. 12-5. 12-5 ain't bad. I mean, it's not bad. It's not the worst. It's not the worst. And I'm the guy that was riding for Lonzo Ball. It's not the worst. I'm not gonna lie. I might say NBA YouTube niggas be getting off nasty lines that sound good but are misleading. That's a fact. He a number 2 pick. I understand that. He's a number 2 pick. I promise you he was not the number 2 pick. He was number 3 pick. But I promise you, I'm not saying that he's exceeding my expectations. Like, no, the numbers don't look good, but the nigga just now started to be nice. All right, the number 2 pick is giving you 15 and 4. Yes, he's shooting more efficiently. He's shooting 43 and 39 essentially. He's definitely shooting way more efficiently. But he's giving you 15 and 4. We're talking 12 and 5 versus 15. An inefficient 12 and 5 versus an efficient 15 and 4. Like, come on, man. Like, I'm not. Understand how bad he was doing at first. Again, I get it. One's efficient and is giving you 15 and 4. The inefficient guy is giving you 12 and 5 inefficiently, and he's gotten better over the course of the season. And if you actually look at his let's look at his last games. I'm not going to act like I know all of Scoot's last games. He started off horrible, and I was getting my jokes off. I was getting it off. Pause. He started off horrible. But to act like he didn't start picking it up, to act like since, I mean, this stretch of games right here I like this from our rookie guard. This stretch of games right here, since when is this? Early December? Early December? You saying he's not ready? I mean, these numbers look cool. The worst game, I'm looking field goal percentage wise. We got a 16 stinker right here. We got a 2 16 stinkers. A 19 stinker. A 18 stinker. Nigga didn't score this night. And other than that, I mean, hey, niggas learning and growing. If you want to cherry pick the bad stats, cool. We can cherry pick the good ones. We can cherry pick the good games too. I like 23 and 10. I like that. I like 17 and 11. I like 22 and 11. I like 17 and 10. Multiple double-doubles in your rookie year. I like that. I don't know how you're going to tell me. I don't know how you're going to. 33 down here. Had a night where he goes with 33, 9, and 7, almost getting a triple-double. At the size, he is an undersized guard, for real. He's not the biggest guy. I mean, it's not the worst. To paint it like this nigga's having the worst rookie year of all time is crazy. And then pinning that on the G League at night is wild. Because, again, if we're looking at these other players, other guards, and, I mean, do we want to – I mean, I think it's an unfair sample size to look at a guy like – he not undersized what? Yes, he is. They say 6'3". This nigga's not 6'3". Scoot is like 6'2", bro. Come on. Scoot's not no damn 6'3". Scoot's 6'3". He's stocky. Nigga hockey for real. He definitely got a cool body, but the nigga's small. He definitely a little small. Who was I about to look up? If we're looking at a guy like, I'm trying to think of another rookie in this. Would I say Anthony Black? Would Anthony Black be the rookie guard I'm talking about, or Marcus Sauser? Would those be the rookie guards I would be referring to? If I'm thinking of the rookies to compare him to, because I only want to compare him to guys in his class, especially guys that didn't, guys that went to college. If we're having these complaints about his game, yeah, I think the next would be Anthony Black, because then the Thompson twins are OTE. Anthony Black or a real point guard? I mean, Kason Wallace? I don't even know. I think Kason plays more of the two, does he not? I mean, but no one's talking about Anthony Black giving you 5 and fucking 2 on good defense. I know the defense is cool, but Anthony Black ain't producing not much. He was a couple picks after him. The only two guys, what? How many guys in the top 10 went to college? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So only half the top 10 went to college. The other guys was overseas or other organizations. What are we really saying right now? Like, are we holding anybody else to a standard? Are we criticizing anybody else? Jarris Walker hasn't played yet. We're talking about Scoot's not ready. They think he's not ready. He hasn't really played like that. People will say, if you listen to Pacer fans and guys that know him, they would say, hey, the kid's ready. Give him a shot. But he's not even getting a shot. Kason Wallace he's coming off the bench. He's giving you 6 and 2. Like, I don't know. And if we're talking about rookies getting starter minutes, if you want to argue starter minutes is what's doing it, all right. I mean, Bilal's overachieving, but even an overachieving Bilal isn't producing more than Scoot. In terms of his draft class, is he not playing like, is he not having the third best year? Oh, Jaime Jaquez. I lied. Jaime, but, I mean, that's everybody. Jaime's just a dog. Jaime was in this shit for 4 years. That's different. I'm talking about one-and-done guys. Because that's who you have to compare. Well, nah, because Scoot was there for 2 years. So, I mean, hey, maybe you can say that's an exception. Scoot's an exception. But let's see. Let's see. We forgot the nasty agenda's being pushed.
But that isn't hard, because he couldn't get much worse. So far, he's averaging these numbers on the season. Every now and then, you'll see a decent stat line pop up on the timeline. Don't be fooled, a lot of that production is coming in garbage time. I'm not gonna lie, he's even worse than I thought he'd be, and I thought he was the most overrated draft prospect in years. Yes, Scoot Henderson was a top 5 player in high school, so was everybody. He played 2 years at Ignite, made $1 million. He wasn't anything special, just another athletic 6'2" guard that can't shoot the free. How many of those guys are actually successful in the NBA? But that's not all. Scoot isn't a great finisher, he's a good, not great passer, his handle is nothing special, and by the way, even his athleticism is overrated. He isn't some Russell Westbrook, D Rose, Ja Morant type athlete. Anyone that told you Scoot Henderson was a generational talent probably watched him play that one exhibition game against Victor Wembanyama and made their mind up there and then. I couldn't believe the hype around this player. Everyone ignored the fact that Scoot shut it down early in the G League because he'd apparently proven enough, when let's be real, he shut it down to protect his plummeting draft stock because he was stinking it up in the G League. Even now with the way Scoot's playing in Portland, if he wasn't a top 3 pick with a signature shoe, he'd be with the Rip City Remix right now in the G League. Okay, maybe that's a bit harsh. Since December 1st, Scoot's averaging these stats. While the efficiency still isn't good, it's not historically bad anymore, which is an improvement. But I never said Scoot Henderson was a bad player. I said, Scoot Henderson looks like a high school player thrown onto an NBA floor. And who's to blame for that? Probably G League Ignite. Cause Scoot and Jaylen Green were the top 3 picks. But they weren't the only number 1 high school prospects that went to G League Ignite, because Jonathan Kaminga was the number 1 player in the country before he reclassified. Instead of going to college, he joined G League Ignite, earned $500,000, averaged 15.8 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 2.7 assists. Kaminga started off really strong, then hit a wall and became inconsistent. His athleticism and upside was insane, it still is, but the G League really exposed some of the deficiencies in his game, some of which we still see today, that weren't so obvious in high school. And as the year went on, he began to slip down the draft boards and fell outside of the top 3. The Golden State Warriors draft.
My question again is, I guess the argument, well, not, I know the argument is the G League Ignite isn't developing these guys' skills with the short amount of time that they're there. Again, how many one-and-done guys are going to college coming out the other side looking like such better players? They're not looking like the same guy they were in high school, now needing to grow in the NBA. I'm not understanding. Maybe I need to see how Cade Cunningham. I probably need to see how Cade was in high school. Let me see. Let me see what Cade was doing in high school. That he just looks like such a different player after the 1 year in college. Here we go. Full highlights. Best point guard. Well, he's not doing that in the league. Did this nigga get worse? Did that in front of John Wall. Is he worse now? Let me see. I need to see how much changed with Cade. So what? What changed? Him not being able to just yam it all the time? Oh, so that's really it. So he got better because the rim got higher? This nigga really is just putting everybody in the rim. This is crazy. Here we go. That nigga does that now. That nigga does this shit now. I'm just trying to figure out what about college changed this. You know what? All right, we got a good sample size of what Cade was doing in high school. Let's see what he looked like in college. He was putting everybody in the rim. You know, we seen it. What was Cade in college looking like?
Here's Cunningham.
That step back jumper. He learned that in college. The pull up we just seen in high school. You learned that in college.
For the Cowboys. Cunningham
to the rim.
Down the lane with the left hand scores.
If it was a little lower, he'd have dunked it.
Opportunity likely underneath, trying to keep it alive. 3, Cunningham. Good.
There you go.
Screen set by Moncrief.
Just
Cunning hand.
straight into the defender.
You know,
Straight at the rim.
Sunday, he did not shoot well last year, only 29%.
Stop and pop off the pick and roll. I mean, I
And
guess.
although Azor comes in
There you
as
go,
their
off the
best
screen.
player on paper,
Down the
he has
middle
a lot of weapons. Look at
to
that
the
move.
rim.
Strong move.
Tough shot from the
Back in and touch
Not
it,
dunking it
but
all
now
the time. I
you
mean,
can
I would
still have
expect that.
possession
The
of the
level of
ball.
competition raises.
Cunningham playing with some grit
Things
here.
get
He looked
faster.
Like he was leaving it along the
So
sideline.
yeah, you're not dunking. You're just finishing at the rim still. I'm not gonna say it made him better that he went to college to lay it up. He still have to do that anywhere else when the competition steps up from high school.
Well, you can see anytime Cunningham gets the ball,
There we go.
all the defensive bodies.
There we go. Just bodies straight to the rim.
That's some
I've
nice
seen him do that in
bigs.
high school.
That's some
Nothing is changing. I'm not seeing. I'm seeing a bigger player. I'm seeing a more developed player that happens year to year. I'm not seeing something that's making me say he learned this because he's in college. He learned, okay, and again, I would argue with that point right there, he learned better shot selection and playing in a more structured environment. That's any level increase between high school and the next level. It would have been the same. I mean, I would argue that watching OTE is more competitive than high school. It's more established than high school. I would assume. I mean, we can watch and find out. But I'm not seeing Cade being the player he is today or being the player he was his rookie year a benefactor of him going to college. I think that's just what Cade would have ended up doing.
Drafted Kaminga with the 7th pick. People were calling him the steal of the draft. His rookie season, Kaminga didn't get much opportunity. He was assigned to the Santa Cruz Warriors several times because Golden State were the best team in basketball. They won 18 of their first 20 regular season games, they were in win-now mode, and as a result of that, the development of their young players wasn't a priority. Whatever they tried to do paid off. The Golden State Warriors made the finals, beat the Celtics in 6, and became NBA champions again. Jonathan Kaminga was the youngest NBA champion since Darko Milicic. Curry won his first finals MVP, and the Warriors ain't been the same since. A big reason for that is that the next generation of Warriors haven't kicked on as expected. Jordan Poole and James Wiseman are no longer Warriors. Moses Moody is yet to take that next leap, and Jonathan Kaminga, while he has improved recently, for most of his NBA career has looked like a high school player. You look at his numbers from year 1 to 3 and it's the exact same. Guess what? It's just come out that Jonathan Kaminga doesn't want to play for Coach Kerr no more. Their relationship is finished. Everything is falling apart in Golden State. Moses Moody doesn't want to be there either. Expect both of those guys to be traded real soon. Kaminga has all the potential in the world. He can be an all-NBA defender. He has the skills and attributes to be a good offensive player too. But he just isn't that yet. And if you haven't...
And if the argument of this is the fact that G League Ignite just let guys play high school versions of basketball in the in that environment, I would argue so do a lot of D1 colleges. That's not an unheard of thing if you're not playing for anything. Because the G League Ignite isn't playing for some final spot, or it's not it's not a real, I mean, they're not a real G League team. They're a development system. And I think they're good at their job of getting guys ready to be pros. That's what I don't know what people think the G League Ignite is for. It's damn sure not meant to be this developmental system to make, I mean, I'm not going to say a developmental system to make you a better player. It's definitely not going to turn you from good to great. I damn sure know that. It's not going to do that. If you're already good, you're going to be good when you go in. You should be good when you come out. This is a placeholder for that 1 year instead of going to college. Now, if you want to argue some kids would benefit more from it, then have that argument. I think some kids would have benefited more from just going to the G League Ignite than going to college if it was available for them earlier. A guy like Ben Simmons, whose career, look how his career turned out now. But Ben Simmons went to LSU and treated it like the G League Ignite. He was just there to hoop. That's all those guys. These guys are here to get there, hoop, travel like pros or pro-ish, be in a pro-ish environment and get you ready to become professional athletes. That is it. College is its own thing, but when you go there for the one and done process, I don't know, like, what are you trying to learn? Because NBA players, when they get to league, will tell you They still needed to learn how to do X, Y, and Z when they got to lead the things they don't teach you in college. Playing NBA-style defense, getting over screens, getting past screens, switches, sets, pro styles. Guys in the G League Ignite are playing more pro-style offense than guys in college. You're not even replicating NBA basketball in college. It's its own form of basketball. It's its own thing. It's not even getting you ready. College isn't preparing you to be a pro. Now, I can say in some situations and in some camps, on some teams, they do a good job of developing players to be in a certain type of pro or getting guys in the mindset of, oh, I need to be a part of the cog in the system to be a pro. I give you that. That's not every college system, though. Everyone think every college isn't the Duke Blue Devils or the Kentucky Wildcats. That's not what it is. A lot of these places are Oklahoma, Alabama, places where guys like Colin Sexton, Trae Young went. Oklahoma State, like Cade went. You seen that shots Cade was taking? Like, come on, man. Cade went there and was allowed to just do his thing.
Noticed, this is becoming a recurring theme with these G League Ignite guys. Same can be said for Dyson Daniels, 6'7" point guard, picked 8th in the draft. His case was a little different though. He's Australian, so he never played high school basketball. Still, he signed with G League Ignite and even played against NBA players in the 2022 Rising Stars game. As a prospect, Dyson Daniels was a Swiss Army knife. Tall point guard, can shoot, drive, pass, defend. These type of guards are exactly what NBA teams are looking for right now. For Ignite, Daniels averaged 12 points, 6.1 rebounds, 5.1 assists and 2 steals per game. He led the Ignite in 2 of those categories. The New Orleans Pelicans chose him with the 8th pick in the draft. Daniels played 59 NBA games last season, averaged 3.8 points, 3.2 rebounds and 2.3 assists. Now I gotta be fair, the stats don't do him justice. Dyson Daniels was impactful his rookie year, and this season he's continued to be a standout perimeter defender, and because of this he's getting more minutes. He's averaging 1.5 steals, but offensively, for a guy that's playing 25 minutes a night, he isn't offering much. 6.9 points, 3.1 assists, 4.6 rebounds. Yeah, he's improved from his rookie year, a bit, but then again, nothing crazy. He's shooting 25% from 3, 40% from the field. I'm not saying he's a bust or a terrible player, but when you draft a guy in the top 10, you're hoping for better production than what Dyson Daniels has produced so far in the NBA. A bit like Jonathan Kaminga, he's a lottery pick playing like a role player.
A lot of lottery picks end up being role players. Every lottery pick isn't a star or a starter. A lot of these guys end up coming off the bench being role players. 2, I think the G League Ignite did exactly what they were supposed to do for a guy like Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels comes over from Australia, not a highly touted prospect at the time, gets into the G League Ignite system to give him some more relevancy compared to other guys because, again, wasn't on a lot of radars. Instead of playing another year pro than trying to go pro to end up in the G League, he takes a year to be in the G League Ignite, ends up in the Rising Stars game to boost up his stock, and he gets drafted. Now, his development is his development, and we can find plenty of guys who are one-and-done college guys that will have the same or even worse issues. So I'm not understanding what are we expecting from the G League Ignite, especially with this small of a sample size, and it's not being compared to anything. This is nasty propaganda. That's really what this is. It's a lot of nasty propaganda.
Here's a guy who was a top player in high school, could have went to Duke, could have went to Kentucky, took the bag, joined G League Ignite and fell out of the first round. This player is Jaden Hardy. He was the number 2 ranked player by ESPN, ahead of Paolo Banchero, Jabari Smith and Amoni Bates. So how was he the 37th pick in the draft? With Ignite, Hardy averaged 17.7 points, 4.6 rebounds, 3.2 assists and 1.3 steals per game, which is actually pretty similar to Jaylen Green's stats with Ignite. It looks really good until you see the 3.5 turnovers and that he shot 35% from the field and 27% from 3. Hardy was considered a selfish, inefficient volume scorer, and we all know the NBA ain't too high on those guys. Jaden Hardy spent a lot of his rookie season in the G League and with the Texas Legends. He was way better in Texas than he was with Ignite. He averaged 28.8 points per game, similar assists and rebounds, but check this, he shot 55% from the field and 49% from three-point range. Jaden Hardy's performances in the G League earned him some playing time in Dallas. On his NBA debut, he scored 22 points. He averaged these stats for his rookie year. Bear in mind, he's a guard playing on the same team as Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. He's not going to get much playing time, no matter what he does. This season, he's played 21 plus minutes just one time, and what did he do? Score 19 points on 5 of 7 shooting. Jaden Hardy is a nice player with a lot of talent. Had he been drafted in the lottery, been given the keys for his own team, his NBA situation might look a little different right now. But the reality is, he's a backup point guard barely playing 15 minutes a night. Now for a second round pick on a two-way contract, he's done very well for himself. But for a guy that was a potential number 1 pick in high school, it's been a disappointing start to his career. Now would his situation have been different had he gone to college instead of Ignite? We can only speculate. Does anyone...
Well, whoa, DKM. Guess what we can do? We don't have to speculate. Because you know what's funny? The same way you was talking about him is the same way I remember people talking about this guy. I don't know if y'all remember. I might be showing my age. Maybe 8 years ago. Yeah, maybe I was showing my age. But Malik Newman was deemed a prodigy, a future star. People just knew Leak was going to be great. Malik Newman was that guy. Top player in high school, top guard in high school, nasty guy. Nasty character. That's Miles Bridges. Giving Miles Bridges buckets. And then, you know what he did? He went to college. Malik Newman went to college, went to Kansas to fine-tune his skills.
Newman, wide open look.
Went to college.
35-22 Baylor. Corner pop. Count it. Malik Newman a 3 and activity. Newman the
look at him. Doing work. Not in the G League. Went to college. Didn't go overseas like a lot of people in his situation end up doing. Average 14, 5, and 2. I don't know the efficiency. I don't know the efficiency here. But he went to college to do that, and then poof. Wasn't even drafted. Was an undrafted signing after the draft. You know when they do that, right after the second round ends, then that's when all the players you thought would have been picked get signed up for these G League teams and the practice squad rosters and all that. What happened? At least Jaylen Hardy got second round pick, got in the G League again, got better, got a shot. Malik Newman didn't even get a shot. He went to college. I wouldn't be surprised if Malik Newman was inefficient. If he was inefficient, I wouldn't be surprised.
Anyone remember Isaiah Todd? McDonald's All-American high school star with D1 offers from Michigan, Kansas, Kentucky, and UNC? He's another that took the bag and went to G League Ignite. And 3 years later, he's still at G League Ignite.
I'm not on any draft boards. I don't know where I'm going to go in the draft. And being, the former #1 player in this class, that means something to me.
So here's what happened. Isaiah Todd was heavily featured for Ignite. He averaged 12.3 points and 4.9 rebounds on decent shooting splits. He was selected 31st in the 2021 NBA draft by the Bucks, was traded to the Wizards, spent 2 years in Washington, played a grand total of 12 NBA games, averaged 1.6 points, 1.3 rebounds, shot 22% from the field and 19% from free. He couldn't get on the floor for one of the worst NBA teams.
What will the Washington Wizards get with Isaiah Todd?
The Washington Wizards going to end up with a championship messing with me.
During these 2 years, Todd played with the Capital City Go-Go's in the G
what was he
League.
supposed to
He
say?
put up these stats his first year and surprisingly regressed in year 2. This summer, he was a part of the Bradley Beal trade with Phoenix and was very quickly waived by the Suns. And now he's right back where he started, with G League Ignite. Only this time, he's not a priority. They aren't heavily featuring him to boost his draft stock. He's playing under 15 minutes a night and is averaging 4.8 points per game. Now I know McDonald's All-Americans go to the NBA all the time and fail, but if you told Isaiah Todd after signing with Ignite in 2020 that he'd still be there in 2024, I think he'd have chosen to go to college.
What if you would have told him after going to Michigan, he gets drafted, plummets his rookie year, and then they send him down to the G League? Then what would you say? Would you tell him, hey man, would you take this year where you're going to actually make money and then end up in the G League because you fucking suck? Or do you want to take this year to go to college for free, because this wasn't NIL time, go to college for free, find out when you get drafted that you fucking suck, and then end up in the G League getting paid? What would you rather have? Now maybe he would still take the option of go to college for a better chance of getting drafted, because at least I have a guaranteed contract in the G League for 4 years versus fighting and clawing. Maybe. But to me, it sounds like this nigga's still getting paid. I don't know. At the end of the day, this nigga just fucking sucks. And if you want me to go in this year's draft alone and find a big man that ain't played because he fucking sucks, I can do that. I can go through the last 5 draft classes. We can find big men who just fucking suck and don't make it to the NBA, get consistent minutes. That's crazy that we're blaming the Ignite for not developing niggas who just fucking suck.
Same draft class, we got Dyson next, a McDonald's All-American that could have gone to Kansas, Kentucky, or UCLA. He'd actually committed to the Bruins before backtracking and joining G League Ignite for $300K. Unlike a lot of the others, Nix wasn't a starter with Ignite. He averaged 8.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. Pretty well-rounded numbers off the bench. He went undrafted, but after impressing with the 76ers at Summer League, he signed with the Houston Rockets. He played most of his rookie season with the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, averaged 20.6 points, 7.7 assists, 5.9 rebounds, and 2 steals. Stats that were way better than his numbers with Ignite, but that's not all. Nix led the Valley Vipers to the G League Finals. He averaged a near triple-double in the G League playoffs. In Game 1 of the Finals, he had 31, 12, and 11. He had 20, 11, and 8 in Game 2. Somehow, he didn't win Finals MVP, but his team won the G League Championship. Dyson Nix was becoming an undrafted success story, signing a 4-year deal with the Houston Rockets. It's very rare an undrafted player signs a long-term contract like that. However, things weren't as good as they seemed. In the 2022-23 season, Nix played 57 games with the Rockets. He didn't impress, his stats weren't any better than his rookie year, and he was waived by the Rockets in 2023. He did get himself another NBA shot with the Minnesota Timberwolves, but this season, his situation isn't any better. He's back in the G League with the Iowa Wolves. He's putting up some big numbers, but we know what Nix can do in the G League. We've seen it before. He's only played 6 games with the Timberwolves this season. He's averaging 1.3 points per game in under 4 minutes. And unfortunately for him, unlike the Rockets last season, Minnesota are actually good for once. They ain't got time for young players, they're trying to win. So because of that, I can't imagine Nix is going to get any playing time at the NBA level anytime soon. Now we got another one from the 2022 NBA draft, a first round pick selected 24th by the Milwaukee Bucks, MarJon Beauchamp. Now he's a little different. He wasn't a McDonald's All-American or social media star. He played high school ball all over the country and actually played JUCO college basketball before joining Ignite in 2021. Growing up, MarJon became tired of constantly moving from state to state, so he took a year off and considered quitting basketball. After training individually, he decided to join a local college, and as a freshman, he put up insane numbers. 30.7 points, 10.5 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.3 steals, and 1.1 blocks. All the D1 schools that overlooked him in high school came running right back. Beauchamp wasn't feeling college and went to G League Ignite instead. During the 2021-22 season, Beauchamp averaged 15.1 points, 7.3 rebounds, 2.3 assists and 1.6 steals. He was a breakout star that took everyone by surprise. Despite being on a championship contending team and still early in his development, Beauchamp actually spent most of his time in the NBA with the Bucks. In his rookie season in 52 games, Beauchamp averaged 5.1 points and 2.2 rebounds. He wasn't very efficient, but this season, that changed. While his averages are still the same, his percentages are a lot better. MarJon Beauchamp is probably the Bucks' best young player. He put in a lot of work in the off-season. He travelled to Greece to work out with Giannis, and even dropped a record 83 points in Jamal Crawford's Summer Rec League. MarJon is a versatile young player with two-way potential and good athleticism. The type of guy that does have a role in this league, but like so many others on this list, what has he actually done in the NBA? Same goes for Leonard Miller, the 31st.
So we're just, okay, alright, now I get it. Okay, now I'm starting to understand it. I understand. We're just pushing a nasty narrative. I get it. Hey, DKM, you got me. You got me. I thought this was serious. I thought this was real at first. I thought we were being for real. I didn't know we weren't being for real, chat. My fault. That's on me. I thought we were being for real talking about G League Ignite. We weren't. We were just getting clicks and views. Okay. My bad. I'm going to just get clicks and views. My fault.
Third pick in the 2023 draft.
Because I just would have assumed that you would acknowledge guys that are success stories who went through the G League Ignite system. You would acknowledge that, talking about how bad guys are. You would talk about the success stories. But you're just going to tell the story and not even give credit, say anything. We're just going to leap over it to push the net. Clicks and views. Got it.
He had 25 offers coming out of college, and like everyone on this list, joined G League Ignite instead. Leonard Miller is a bizarre case. He was relatively unknown going into the draft, a side character in the Scoot Henderson show, but despite being slept on, Miller averaged 18 points and 11 rebounds per game. He shot 55% from the field, and despite his unorthodox mechanics, he even showed potential as a shooter. Leonard was a 6'10" power forward, averaging an efficient double-double against grown men in the G League. I know they don't want to talk about it, but he was Ignite's best player last season and still fell into the second round. Despite an impressive showing at Summer League in Vegas, Miller isn't getting any burn on an NBA floor at all. He's played in 3 NBA games, totaled 6 minutes of playing time. I'm not even going to read out his stats because it's just unfair. He plays for the Timberwolves, they're the best team in the West. He's probably going to end up spending most of his season with the Iowa Wolves in the G League. Okay, he's a second round pick, it'll take time. But once again, we have another guy who was a top player coming out of high school, went to the G League, and now he can't get on an NBA floor. Did I mention the guy the Spurs drafted from France? One of the top prospects coming out of Europe? No, not Wemby, thank God he never went Ignite. I'm talking about 6'8" forward Sidi Sissoko.
I'm confused so should I do a video where I talk about all the college guys that were top high school prospects that after going to college, their draft stock plummeted and then they end up being second round picks or not even picked at all? Should I start doing that? That's crazy. Because it's so nitpicky. It's so nitpicky, for real. A false narrative.
Cool. He played for Barcelona in the Liga ACB,
What's good,
was
gang?
considered the best international prospect not named Wembanyama until he joined G League Ignite. He became the first European to ever sign with the program and was inspired to do so by guess who? Dyson Daniels. In 28 games, Sissoko averaged 12.8 points, 3.5 assists, 2.8 rebounds, 1.2 steals and a block. His shooting splits were respectable, he featured at All-Star Weekend in the Rising Stars game, and showed some real promise towards the end of the G League season, scoring 20 or more points in 5 consecutive games. That sounds nice and all, but he struggled to make a team. He was drafted late in the second round, and it wasn't until he proved himself at Summer League that he actually signed with the Spurs. Considering the team he plays for, I'm sure his nationality helped him make the team. The only NBA team worse than the Spurs is the Detroit Pistons. Sissoko has played just 4 minutes all season. He's in Austin right now playing with the Spurs G League team.
There's a lot of niggas who just aren't ready immediately that are one and done guys. Why are we blaming the G League Ignite for this? Because they're taking a chance on these niggas versus college. Why are we not? That's why I'm at. Why is there no comparison? Why are you not comparing this to the number of college niggas, at least in their draft class at the very least?
Are better than last year. He's an intriguing prospect with versatility and upside, but the bottom line is he's still in the G League. So is Mojave King, who was picked shortly after Sissoko in the 2023 draft. The Lakers picked him 47th and then traded him to the Pacers. King was an international prospect. He turned down offers from Arizona, Oregon, Virginia, and Baylor. He played in Australia's NBL as a part of their Next Stars program. Other notable guys to do this are LaMelo Ball, RJ Hampton, and Josh Giddey. King played 2 seasons in the NBL with the Cairns Taipans and Adeline 36ers. He got some pro experience, made some money, averaged these stats, and in 2022 he decided to go to the G League. Started in the majority of the Showcase Cup games, was benched in the regular season, and averaged 11.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 1.7 assists on below 40% shooting from the field and free. Despite being just the 3rd New Zealand-born player to ever be drafted, Mojave King never actually signed with the Indiana Pacers. They own his draft rights. He played for them in Summer League, but he was never going to be a part of their NBA team this season. He could have played in Europe, gone back to Australia, or suck it up where he is now in the G League with the Indiana Mad Ants. He was welcome anywhere except with the Indiana Pacers in the NBA. But let's not forget, the G League Ignite has also taken on several project players over the years, guys with high potential that needed developed. They had Kai Soto, the Filipino star, Wemby before Wemby. He was at Ignite, disappeared, ended up in Australia, and is now back home playing in the Philippines. What about Fan Bo Zheng? He was a nationally ranked high school player, signed with Ignite, now he's back home in China with the Beijing Ducks. Principal Singh was an Indian prodigy from the NBA Academy. He went to Ignite, played 4 games, and where is he now? Back in India! It's time to get serious. We've just gone through every single G League Ignite player that's ever been drafted, and Jaylen Green is the only one that is a starter in the NBA. Let me ask you, how many guys on this list were McDonald's All-Americans in high school, joined G League Ignite, destroyed their draft stock, and are still playing in the G League to this day?
To this day!
I got an even better question. How many players went to G League Ignite and actually got better? In my opinion, 0. The G League Ignite was supposed to develop and prepare these prospects for the NBA and let them make a little money along the way. It's not working. These G League Ignite players are not ready. Even the best of them that are picked top 10 in the draft, they are struggling in the NBA. Probably because G League Ignite is really just glorified AAU basketball.
So why wouldn't these guys stay longer? Like, actually sit there and develop. How much development can you have in 1 year would be my question. What other G League teams are developing guys in 1 year and they're becoming better? How many schools are producing guys in just 1 year that are genuinely better? That's what I would ask, because that's crazy. We're asking them to do so much developing in 1 year. A lot of these guys sound unready. These still are young guys. A lot of young guys aren't ready immediately. I don't think a year of college or a year on the Mad Ants exclusively is going to prepare you more or so much more that is dramatically better. That's crazy.
It's like a showcase that nobody is watching. They are playing in empty arenas, auditioning their skills to NBA scouts. The G League Ignite team isn't playing for wins. Every player on that team is trying to establish themselves as an individual. And by the way, that's not just Ignite. That goes for the whole G League. Tell me who won the G League MVP last season. Tell me what team won the G League championship. You can't. And that's the problem. Nobody in the G League is trying to be an Andre Ingram who stays there for a decade making 30k a year. Everybody is trying to get a contract for themselves somewhere, whether it be NBA, overseas, wherever. So not only is the G League Ignite team not trying to win, neither is their competition. Everyone is in it for themselves. Being a winning G League player ain't gonna get you a 10-day contract. Scoring 50 points, that might get you called up. This is where the Ignite players are learning the game. Instead of going to college, playing in front of massive crowds and playing in the NCAA tournament on national TV, they're playing meaningless, self-centered, your turn, my turn basketball that nobody is paying attention to. And that's why these G League Ignite guys are coming to the NBA looking like high schoolers.
This is such nasty
Do you
propaganda.
even know who the G League Ignite coach is? It's NBA journeyman Jason Hart. Did you know this is his first head coaching job? Now, no disrespect to the guy, but these top prospects could have gone to blue blood schools and learned from guys like Coach K, John Calipari and Roy Williams. Coaches who have decades of experience developing future NBA stars and competing for championships. Maybe the G League Ignite should consider poaching.
What about the guys that go to colleges that aren't these schools would be my question. What, he said, is he 100% capping? Did he make any points that you agree with? In terms of the whole process of the G League, I agree with that. If you're not, I definitely understand slandering or questioning the G League itself. I wouldn't necessarily pick on the Ignite system because I think the Ignite system is a wonderful thing. It's an alternative option for younger guys, for young guys to not have to go to college and they can just worry about ball and get paid. Now, the one and done process is the one and done process. I just find it hard to believe that we're going to sit here and say that all these D1 guys that are getting in a draft, and again, I'll pull up this year's draft class. What was Central Florida doing? Did you pay attention to Arkansas? Was you really paying attention to what Santa Clara was doing? Were you paying attention to them for real? Was you really watching Iowa? Was you watching Houston hoops? Were you? Were you watching Belmont? I don't even know what the fuck Belmont is. Second round picks, the guys that these G League players, the Ignite players are being compared to. These guys. Who was the fact these like I don't shout out Gigi Jackson. Gigi Jackson, Greg Jackson, South Carolina. Shout out him. I was shouting him out before the draft. Niggas was not watching Miami. Clemson. Who was watching Clemson? Tell me what Clemson was doing. Penn State. Y'all know what we think about Penn State. Like, what are we talking about, man? Like, no one's paying attention to those schools. I get it. We can really point out Kentucky, Michigan, Duke, Kansas, the typical 10, what I call them, the typical 10 college teams people associate with college basketball they usually see in the NCAA tournament. In reality, when it comes to the NBA draft, those schools aren't necessarily the only schools we draft prospects. Niggas was not watching Purdue when Jay Navi was there. You can't tell me you was. Santa Clara again. Yo, Santa Clara just had a unit, didn't they? Jesus Christ. Memphis was ass. James Wiseman couldn't play. The Imani Bates shit happening. Niggas getting caught for paying niggas. And that's where fucking Jaylen Duren was. Niggas wasn't watching Jaylen Duren. Niggas wasn't watching that ass team. Was you watching Wake Forest? Was niggas watching Wake Forest? Really? Y'all was watching Wake Forest hoops? You niggas weren't watching Notre Dame. I seen Blake Wesley play on campus. Come on. Niggas was not watching Notre Dame. Y'all were not watching Notre Dame hoops. You weren't. No one was. Wake Forest just actually. Niggas ain't watched this Jeff Teague. Like, come on. Niggas wasn't watching these teams play either, but these is where players go for their shot at the NBA. You're telling me a nigga going to Notre Dame, that's giving you a better shot at being a pro or giving you the best odds in terms of looks compared to going to the G League Ignite? Notre Dame? Come on, bro. For basketball? Notre Dame basketball? Not football. Football different. Football, we have a different conversation. Basketball? Nigga, whatever, bro. listen, that's that. DKM, I get it, man. Clicks and views. I see what you did there. Push the agenda. I feel it. 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 That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Chat. I'm not gonna lie to you. What time is it? Fuck. Let me see. I think I got a dip. Let me see. Actually, I feel like playing the game. Honestly. Dip or play the game. I don't know what to play. Raid souls? I should raid souls, huh? That's a great idea. You're a smart guy. You're a smart cookie. Hold on. That's exactly what we're doing. So if you dip raid someone, 100%. 100%. Appreciate the cheer, gang. Appreciate that. Hold on. Let's do that. Souls is still streaming, huh? Let's do it. Appreciate the sub. Appreciate you, gang. Big Zane with the gift. Appreciate you. Shit did not work. Hold on.